The story of St. Lawrence O'Toole, Archbishop of Dublin.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Imagine a time long ago in the rugged hills and misty lands of Ireland. It's the 12th century, a time when kings ruled the land and the church held great power. It was a time when faith and devotion were as important as the air you breathed. Amidst all the challenges of war, politics, and religion, a man named Lawrence O'Toole rose to prominence, not through his might or wealth, but through his unwavering belief and deep compassion for others. Born in the year 1128, Lawrence O'Toole wasn't born into a life of luxury. In fact, he was the son of a noble family in the region of Leinster. But from an early age, Lawrence's life was marked by a sense of something higher, a calling that would shape the rest of his days. Now, Ireland during this time was a land of shifting loyalties, where kings and chieftains constantly fought for control. But Lawrence, as a young boy, was set on a different path. When he was just a child, his parents sent him to a monastery. Here, surrounded by monks and the quiet life of prayer, Lawrence discovered his true calling, the life of a servant to God. At first, Lawrence didn't want to lead. He didn't want power. Instead, he sought a life of humility and prayer. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. By the time he was in his 20s, the church in Ireland was in turmoil. The people were suffering from the conflicts between local rulers, and the clergy were often caught in the middle. It was clear that someone had to step up to guide the people and heal the wounds caused by the unrest. Lawrence, though reluctant, was chosen to become the Archbishop of Dublin. But this wasn't just any archbishop. Dublin at the time was one of the most important cities in Ireland, and it was caught in the middle of political chaos. The city was torn between the native Irish and the growing influence of the Anglo-Normans. There was a lot of tension, and the church was under pressure to maintain order and protect the people. Lawrence didn't take this responsibility lightly. He wasn't a politician or a warrior, but he knew the power of kindness, humility, and prayer. As the Archbishop of Dublin, he worked tirelessly to bring peace between the Irish and the Anglo-Normans. He sought to create a community where all people, regardless of their background, could come together in faith. But Lawrence's leadership was more than just political. He was deeply spiritual and believed in the value of a simple life. He often lived humbly despite his position. He would spend time with the poor and the sick, not as a distant figure of power, but as someone who truly cared. He was a man of the people, and the people loved him for it. There's a story that one winter, when Dublin was facing famine, Lawrence opened the doors of the cathedral and allowed the hungry to come in and take what they needed. He would give his own food to those in need, never turning anyone away. His actions spoke louder than any sermon he could have preached. However, Lawrence's life was not without its hardships. In fact, it was in his willingness to sacrifice that his true greatness shone through. During one of the many political disputes of the time, Lawrence was captured by the English King Henry II's forces. Now, this wasn't just any capture. Lawrence was taken as a prisoner, but his enemies quickly realized that he wasn't the type of man they could easily break. Despite the harsh conditions of his captivity, Lawrence refused to be silenced or to betray his faith. Instead of cowering, he stood firm in his beliefs. It's said that even in captivity, Lawrence continued to pray for the well-being of others. His spirit was so strong that even his enemies began to respect him. The king eventually released him, and Lawrence returned to Dublin, but he was never the same. He had been tested, and he had emerged even more steadfast in his devotion to God and his people. As the years passed, Lawrence continued to lead with wisdom and compassion. But his health began to fail him. He was weary from years of sacrifice, and he knew his time on earth was drawing to a close. In the year 1180, Lawrence passed away. His death was mourned by both the Irish and the Anglo-Normans. He had spent his life trying to heal the wounds between these two groups, and in the end, he had succeeded. The city of Dublin grieved for their beloved Archbishop, and even those who had once been his enemies recognized the great man he had been. After his death, Lawrence's legacy lived on. He became known as a saint, not for his power or status, but for his unwavering faith, his dedication to peace, and his love for the poor and the oppressed. He is remembered as someone who used his position not for personal gain, but to serve others. In fact, he is still celebrated today as the patron saint of Dublin, his city of birth. So, what can we learn from the story of St. Lawrence O'Toole? The most important lesson is that true greatness doesn't come from wealth or power. It comes from humility, sacrifice, and a genuine love for others. Lawrence didn't seek fame or glory. He simply tried to live his life as Christ would have wanted, with compassion, kindness, and an open heart. His story reminds us that even in the face of hardship, we can choose to be a light for others. No matter how small our actions might seem, they have the power to change the world. St. Lawrence O'Toole showed us that it's not the position we hold, but the way we live and the way we treat others that defines us.